Good morning, Unity. I rise in love. I rise in love. Ooh. I rise in love. Love is the way to me. All that I am to be is rising every day in love. I sing of love. I sing of love. Ooh. I sing of love, singing its song through me. All that I am is love's melody. I'm singing every day of love. I yield to love. I yield to love. I yield to love, for love is all I see. All that I am is love rising as me. I'm yielding every day to love. Oh, I'm rising. Yeah, I rise in love. I rise in love. Ooh. I rise in love. Love is the way to me. All that I am to be is rising every day in love. Arise. Rising every day in love. Rising every day in love. Rising every day. Rising every day. Rising every day in
Wow.
Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome. We are rising every day in love. If by any chance you thought that today was the same day as yesterday, I'd invite you to breathe and say, wait a minute, we live and move and have our being within this quantum field that is never the same. It is pure divine love that vibrates every single moment. This is not the same day. We have the ability to breathe and say yes to the movement of spirit through us. So I'm Reverend Lisa Davis. I'm part of the crew here. All of us, we're so grateful to have you with us. We're so blessed to be able to come together in community and say, who are we? How do we touch our world? How do we allow the new to be birthed through us? I want to share, first of all, the stuff. Who was it? Jack Kornfield, who said, after the ecstasy, the laundry, or after the enlightenment, the laundry, whatever it was that he said. So in our parking lot out there, it's either silver or cream Toyota that is blocking everyone getting out. So you need to move further up into the parking space. The license plate number is 979 NKU. It's a 4-door, and I just invite you to move it up so people can go. Please. All right, and we want to let you know that as we gather as a community, we get to figure out how each of us allows that rising in love. We're going to begin in a prayer in just a moment, and my belief is that prayer is setting an intention. It's holding a space for, I don't know if you'd say downloading or uploading, the wisdom of the universe. because we know that this field that we live in is all intelligent. It's energy, it's a vibration, and it's a movement. Sometimes, though, our hearts have said, nope, this is who I am, this is how I can be, this is my world, and it gets really small. So as we begin in prayer, prayer is opening to the larger intelligence of the universe moving through us. And so as we begin this prayer, I just invite you to move into that heart space, to that sacred essence, and moving into a larger idea of who we are and what we've come to do as an integral part of humanity. So let's begin this service in prayer with a breath, with a conscious movement into our hearts. And we say, yes, Infinite Spirit, I am open. I am receptive to the divine living spirit of truth that moves in and through and as me now. I am one with the vibration of spirit. I am one with the love of the universe, and I am ready for a larger story this day. I am ready to know that I am one with all of humanity and that together we walk in love as one. For this opportunity to gather in this knowing and in this idea, we are so blessed, and we allow that knowing to encircle the globe. All of the places where people are wondering, how do I move to the next place? How do I move through this? How do I move forward? What do I do? Where do I go? We just simply surround them in light and love, and then knowing that we are all one. With great respect, with great honor, we are one. And together we say yes, and so it is. Amen.
Those will be held for 30 days before they're sent on to Silent Unity. And I want to mention our dial a prayer, which I do every Sunday, but I think it's important to mention, if you need a lift during the week, you can call the dial a prayer. The message is changed every day, and you'll get a little inspiring lift, which we can all use sometimes, right? It's true. So today, following the service, the women's group is going to meet downstairs in one of the teen rooms or maybe a classroom. Keep your eye peeled for Barbara. She will let you know where they're going to meet. Today, they're having a book sharing and a giveaway. So if you've been waiting to check out this group, today is your day. Make sure you seek them out. The 20s and 30s are not meeting today, so that you know that. I think many of you got an email if you're part of that group. And also the bingo team is going to be meeting downstairs in one of the team rooms. So if you're part of that, look for Sandra later this morning. We are having a leaders meeting today for the leaders of our volunteer teams. And many of you got, well, all of you got an invite in your email, but that's just a reminder, we're going to be in the chapel about 12:45. And we're excited because we're working together to move our Love in Action program forward. And that's just really exciting as we set the foundation for our volunteer program. Well, did the warm sunny day yesterday put you in the mood to plant some flowers? We hope so. And if you don't have them yet, today's the last day of our plant sale for our youth ed department. They are planning for camp, and they use this money that they raise through these fundraisers to actually help scholarship kids to camp this summer. So Hannah is out at the desk with the pink tablecloth. Stop by and see her. Look at all the wonderful options you have, and plan on doing that. Now, if you're not a gardener, you can still order flowers on a green form, and those will come to our garden team, and they'll plant them here on our grounds. So you can participate in that way as well. And we're hoping to have a community planning day on May 7th, but we really need some warm, sunny weather, so keep that in mind. We're waiting on that. The spring outreach program is still going on. We have a couple more weeks that we're collecting items for that. There's flyers on both of the tables that list things that you can buy and donate. They're collecting them in the bins in the north lobby. If you're not a shopper, we invite you to make a donation out in the box, or you can do so online through PushPay, and that will give them money that they can go and pick up some things that maybe they haven't received. That's going on through the end of April. Next Saturday, in honor of Earth Day, we've partnered with the Mount Tabor Neighborhood Associations. They're bringing the big dumpsters over to our east parking lot, and you're invited if you have, if you have large bulky items, electronics or scrap metal or styrofoam. you're invited to bring them between 9 and 1 next Saturday, and you can dump them right over here for a small donation. Maybe you're ready to clean out that garage or shed. They are ready for you, so you might want to take advantage of that. Next Saturday, our Helping Parents Heal group will meet. They typically meet on the third Saturday, but they had a little scheduling conflict, so they will be meeting next Saturday. That's rescheduled from the third Saturday. Next Sunday, April 23rd, Reverend Lisa kicks off our spring program, which is Many Paths, One Presence. That's when we'll be starting our spirit groups back up. This is based on the book that she'll be referencing on those Sundays called Essential Spirituality. Now, spirit groups are our small book group studies. And if you're seeking community, this is a wonderful way to start. The groups have like 6 to 10 people in them. You get to know each other. You get to support each other through prayer. And you get to discuss the chapter that we're working on those Sunday mornings. It's a wonderful way to connect, and we invite you to sign up. There's 3 nights, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6:30. It's all on Zoom. So you just have to flip your computer on and you can join in. There's no charge for the spirit groups. You just have to have a book, which will guide you through those 8 weeks. And so we invite you to do that. We have signups out on the table and also in the newsletter. Another transforming opportunity will begin on May the 3rd when Susie Ellen will kick off transformative prayer class. This is going to be an afternoon offering on Wednesdays, 6 Wednesdays, 1 to 3 p.m. It's going to meet right here. There's more information, some flyers on the lobby table where the signups are. I do want to make you aware this is a prerequisite class for the prayer chaplain program. So if that's something you're interested in, you might want to consider signing up for that with Susie Ellen. Again, that starts on Wednesday, May the 3rd. And at this time, I want to invite up Lisa Barrett Kelly. There she is right here. Yes, and Drew Rain. So we are starting the LGBTQ group back up, and I'm going to turn it over to them and let them give you a little information about it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, so we are really excited to announce that we are relaunching the presence of a LGBTQ plus group here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland. Those of you who were here during and before the pandemic, you knew that we started thanks to Drew and Mari. Is Mari here? So before the pandemic, there was a launch of a support group. And actually a coalition for the LGBTQ plus community. But due to the pandemic, obvious reasons, we weren't able to sustain that for regular meetings. But we are relaunching that now. And we have met the last couple of months in my home, actually. And we are also adding the 4th Sunday of every month, we are going to meet during Coffee Connection here on Sunday. So if you are part of the LGBTQ plus community and you just want to gather, connect, the purpose of these groups, twofold. Primarily, my pastor heart is that we support one another, that we have a safe space where we can hear each other's challenges and joys. Just like the men's and women's groups, LGBTQ plus also has belonging here as an inclusive community. So that is the purpose. Also, to bring hands and feet, as Drew does so well, to our thoughts and prayers. So we want to also be active in our community. How can we support the LGBTQ plus community here in Portland and beyond? For those of you who are part of our virtual community, reach out to us. You can do that through reaching Unity of Portland. My email address has been on the newsletters. You reach out to us, we will reach out to you because you belong. I just want to add, the last few weeks, Reverend Lisa has referred to our spiritual evolution, that we transcend and include. And I had this picture the first time that she mentioned that, of this drone camera. You know, those drones that like rise above and you can see so many things with a different perspective so clearly. And when you rise above, when you transcend, you can see, oh my gosh, there is room for everyone. And yes. And the inclusion is making a space because, oh, there's a group there. Oh, they belong. You know, we have room for us all. So that's part of why we are making LGBTQ plus intentional effort to celebrate here as our community. So, Drew, anything else? Okay, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful for this leadership that's come forward and is going to take this group to the next level. So we thank you for participating in that. And boy, it's really true. We have something for everybody here because the last thing I have to announce is that Bingo's back next Sunday as well. Woo! So, you know, it's like something for everybody. They're going to be meeting downstairs following the service, and they're playing for money. They're getting ready to go public in May. So I know a lot of you had fun doing that last time. There was a lot of laughter and a lot of family fun going on down there. So make sure you come and join them. At this time, I'd like to welcome anyone who's with us for the first time. If this is your first time at Unity of Portland, welcome. Welcome to our virtual community. If this is your first time tuning in, we're glad you're here. Thank you. Our ushers are going to get you a welcome packet. On the front of that packet, there is a rose sticker. We'd love for you to peel that off and put it on your lapel so we know who you are this morning. We also invite you to fill out the neon card that's on the back. This will get you on our mailing list, so you'll be aware of all the upcoming events and things that are happening here. And if you're part of our virtual family, or if you're just very technologically savvy, you can use the QR code and get your information to us that way as well. So we appreciate you participating in that. And I do want to invite you this morning to come downstairs for coffee and connection. That's the wonderful time where we gather for some socialization and visiting following the service. And today it is sponsored by the men's group who are willing spring into existence. I want you to know. And you can tell by what they're wearing. So if guys, will you stand? Our Hawaiian contingency, yes. Thanks, guys. We know it's true. We know spring is coming. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Wonderful. And thank you all. As I was listening to this, I thought, you know, a couple years ago when we were just meeting in here and there was a sound person, there was a sound tech and a live stream tech and one musician, usually sometimes two, there were no announcements because there was nothing happening. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, okay, where do we go from here? I want to say, first of all, to all of you who are visiting, welcome. We're so happy you're here. I believe that it is vital right now in our world to connect with one another, to recognize, as Ram Dass said it, we're all just walking each other home. We're here to learn from each other, to include each other, and to know that there's a larger story and a larger picture for all of us. If this community works for you, I would encourage you to become a part. Because the fascinating thing is, none of those teams and groups recreated without somebody saying, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, and then miracles happen. It's fascinating to watch what happens when we come together, and so that's truly what we're doing. If this community does not work for you, I would encourage you to continue seeking. Find a place that does say, yes, I'm alive, I belong, I'm a part of something larger, because that's what humanity is evolving into right now. So we are thrilled to have you with us, and we are going to stand and sing. Thank you to all of our wonderful musicians. We're so happy you're with us.
So this is a possibly new to you song, but it's also a very old New Thought song. We're going to sing the first part, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, over and over. You're going to get it. It's easy. Just let it out. In this circle of love, in this circle of the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace. I feel our unity, love, sweet security. I feel our unity, love, sweet security, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace. I feel our unity, love, sweet security. I feel our unity, love, sweet security, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace, in the circle of love, in the circle of, last time, in the circle of love, in the circle of peace.
Oh, yes. And I just invite you to turn to those around you and just say, welcome, namaste. I behold the divine in you. As we move into our time of just a little bit of meditation, just as time to relax and allow ourselves to anchor, we get to remember that this idea of transcend and include, we're including the divine within us. We're including that light, recognizing that each of us, everywhere, is a divine expression of spirit. We're whole, we're complete, we're infinite, regardless of what a world may have told us. That's the truth of who we are. And as we sit quietly and allow wisdom, divine intelligence, wisdom to move through us, there's an understanding, a knowing that we know that we know that we know. And so I just invite you to listen to this music and this wonderful meditation with Susie and know that we are all one.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world.
So I invite you, if it's comfortable, to softly close your eyes. Let your mind quiet and your body be stable on the chair as we move into this beautiful time of meditation. This beautiful time where we come together and love and feel the joy of our own hearts as they express beautifully, wonderfully, sweetly in the silence. I invite you this morning. I invite you to the wholeness and blessing of your own heart. And I invite you this day to share it in this beautiful circle of love that we create right here in our presence, our love and our heart. And so this morning, I feel this grace and I allow myself to move through it in trust that we are right here in the right place at the right time. And so it is.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth. And who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. that we cannot see. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Hands that heal can set a chained man free. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? And we believe in peace within every heart. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Burning brightly, brightly in the dark. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? So come on, darling, feel your spirits rise. Come on, children, open up your eyes. God is all around, Buddha's at the gate. Allah hears your prayers, it's not too late. We believe in things that will give us hope. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Let your voice be heard. Celebrate your vote. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? So come on, darling, feel your spirits rise. Come on, children, open up your eyes. God is all around, Buddha's at the gate. Allah hears your prayers, it's not too late. We believe in things that make us all the same. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Love belongs to all in deed and name. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? And we believe in things that can't be done. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? Lift up your heart, put down your gun. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? We believe in things we're told that we can't change. Why shouldn't we? We had heroes once, and we will again. Why shouldn't we? So come on, darling, feel your spirits rise. Come on, children, open up your eyes. God is all around, Buddha's at the gate. Allah hears your prayers, it's not too late. Why shouldn't we? 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 Thank you.
Wow, why shouldn't we? What a question, what a question. Our screen's coming down. You know, last Sunday was amazing. For those of you who are in this space or online or just are brand new and you haven't ever been here before, we're just going to see some of the pictures from last week. I want us to remember some of the joy, some of the faces. I invite you to look at faces and recognize God, recognize the infinite, recognize the eternal one within these eyes and these lights and these beings and all of the pieces as we look at these ideas and say, who am I? And I wanted to do this. You know, the topic is, what do I do next? Because we have these fabulous experiences. And then we say, what happens next? You know, if you're like me and I'm going to figure out how to do this, but literally we're watching and I'm talking. But, you know, our kids, I remember the days when it was like, I don't know if we'll have any kids back or not. I don't know if we'll ever meet in person again. And there was comments of, you know, we won't do this, we won't do that. And yet the ability to just see joy to see light, to see life, to see humanity. Now our beautiful Easter Bunny can't see without someone. He came down the aisle, which isn't supposed to happen without any help. And life, anybody feel like that's what's happening? You've got something on that you can't actually see out of, and it's inviting you to move. And then came pictures with the Easter Bunny. We were so blessed to have families and people who are new here and have been here for years. And this is some of the joy, some of the beings and the people and the life and I look at it and I say, wow, we come together. And then it was the Easter egg hunt, and that was serious business for some of it. In your way. Some of the light, some of the presence, some of the beauty of just simply coming together. Thank you for humoring me and for watching this, because I wanted us to look at that. Thank you, Leah. And just remember, we're all a part. We're all a part of something more. And whether we're in this physical space or you're joining us at home, I believe we're a part of consciousness. And it can be such a high day. I've had people say, oh my goodness, it was wonderful. And we look at each other and we say, I see the light, I see the love, I see that, I feel it. And that's where we are going. That's truly who we are. And many of us didn't grow up with that idea. But at some point we go home. Anybody go home this week, last week, a few weeks before, and you get home, and last week I talked a lot about my clothes and what I was going to wear and what was going to happen. Well, I did eventually go home a couple hours after my daughters, and I got home and they had moved all the clothes that I had tried on into a chair. For some reason, they decided the only TV they could watch was in my room. And I was like, okay, and then the dog's up there, he's 110 pounds, and so he takes up much of the bed, and the cat's up there, and I'm just like, wow, we're all comfortable. And they said, well, it was too much of a mess downstairs. We didn't want to clean up. So then I found out why, and I looked at that, and the dog was not very happy, and finally when he lifted his paw, I realized he had one of my nylons hanging off of them. I don't know how long it had. So I put a little note to myself, get dog's nails trimmed. But I looked at that, and then I went downstairs to tackle all the stuff that had been already made so I could make a brunch for my family to come over. That's where we get to say, what do I do next? Anybody have those places in their lives right now? A couple of us have to. And it's in the little things, and it's in the big things. All of life changes, and that's been happening a lot. Or the people that we thought were going to be in this place at this time in our lives, they're not there. And we get to say, who am I? And what do I do next? And all week I've just kind of been sitting with this idea, what do I do next? And I know this. For me, and one of the traditions that Unity has had for eons is we go to prayer. Now you might say, I don't have that connection. I don't know how to pray. I don't know this or that. It's not about right ways. It's about energizing and reminding ourselves who we are. You know, the first miracle that Jesus did was changing water into wine. Now, some of you may say, I don't want wine, and that's okay. But if you look at it metaphysically, and then some of you over here are really excited, they're ready to have the wine right now. I can tell. See, I can tell. So these are the ideas, what that means. And of course, and remember, when we look in unity, when we look at these meanings, because we don't take the Bible literally, we look at it as a spiritual primer that has ideas for us and that we can learn from. One of those things is that every part of a story is a part of ourselves. So you have the divine, the Christ, you have the Mary, you have Joseph, you have all the pieces, you have all of it within you. So the part of you that is searching to be the divine, that Christ, that light, which Jesus was recognizing and beginning to say, wait a minute, I must be about my Father's business. I am that I am. There's this light and this love and this presence. But he wasn't doing anything about it. And so someone said, the wine's gone, there's a wedding. How many of us are hoping to have a wedding? That's a coming together of our heart and mind. Anybody knowing that's where we're going? That's what life is calling us to do and to be? It's a coming together of our heart and mind. But there's no wine. There's nothing. And so the idea of turning water into wine and what he did was he energized the water and it became the best wine possible. Now, I don't drink wine outside. You don't want to find out what happens when I do. Somehow it's not a pretty story. But I know that I want all of my water energized into wine. And that's the place where we begin remembering who we are. And by the way, Jesus also said, when his mother asked him, go do that, he said, what is it to you? I don't, and then kind of walked away from all the people. Well, he knew, moms say, your heart, that love center in you says, go do the work. Go and energize that which is there. So when we look and our room is in a mess, our life is in a mess, things aren't where we want them, we don't know what to do, the first thing we get to do is add energy, add connection, know who we are, and allow that divine essence to vibrate within us. And I consider that prayer. So we get to recognize and for me, there is a quantum field. You can call it the 0-point energy field. You can call it God. You can call it the very vibration of love. But it is everywhere present. And yet, I have a feeling most of us never related it to ourselves. We felt so far away, and either our mind or the world around us tells us, you're not a part of this or this or this. So energizing the water is beginning to say, I am. There's a presence and a power. There is one presence and one power active in the universe. It is God, the infinite good, and I am connected to it. I am one with that power. I am life, I am love, I am presence, and it moves through me now. What would happen if every time we say, what do I do next, we just simply said, I am. I'm one with the presence, I'm one with life. All of the answers are present and available in this moment. And so we begin energizing that which up until then is water. And by the way, water is neutral. We look at our lives and sometimes we say, that's not good. The truth is it's neutral until we decide what it is. It simply is. And so I'd invite you, in 15 commitments, we're working on that one. We're working on getting out of the blame, shame, guilt model into being open and curious. That is a major brain shift. All of the places in our brain where we've said, I'm not enough, I'm not whole, I'm not this, I'm not that, are being invited to say, wait a minute, what would happen if I was open and curious? So first, I invite you to go to not just prayer of, dear God out there somewhere, I hope you come in here. I want to know where your God is. Because that God, that life, that presence is within every being. These are the ideas that transform our planet. And when we get it in our idea, it moves it out into consciousness and it touches other lives. And it is easier for others to get, wait a minute, I have value and worth. I am one. And there's an intelligence. I have access to the intelligence of the universe. And so we start with that prayer. Connect ourselves to the source. And we energize what is there. By the way, one of the ways I learned to do it was daily word. We didn't go anywhere where our daily word was not. It sat on our breakfast table my whole life. We read it at least twice a day that I'm aware of, and these affirmations that are on the top of it. You know, we learn to make them into I am. My zeal for life carries me forward. I am carried forward because I am filled with zeal and enthusiasm for all that is mine to do today. We begin adding words. And by the way, I remember when I started out thinking, I'm never going to be able to put 3 of these words together. I'm never going into ministerial school because I don't know how I'd ever pray in front of people other than unless they're 15 years old or under. I learned that one, but that was it. But this idea of prayer, so we start with that. Then we get to go to open to a larger story. Our stories sometimes are too small. And we think, well, this story doesn't matter that much, so I won't open it up. If we're going to open up big stories and make large changes as humanity, we got to open up the smaller stories. We get to look at ideas and say, what's a bigger story here? What does this really mean? And so we have an instant, constant connection to Spirit. We know where that presence is. It's within us. And by the way, in Unity Sunday School, growing up, one of the first things they taught us was there's one presence and one power, and you had to keep saying it. Where is it? It's within. Where is it? It's within. Where's God? It's within. I think that was one of the most important activities I ever did. But then, and Charles Fillmore in the late 20s said, within us are the great potentialities of Spirit that put into action enable us to be, do, or have anything we will. Science tells us that each of us has enough energy within themselves to run a universe if we knew how to release and control it. So this is somebody in an hour outside of Kansas City, Missouri in the 20s, I think it was 1924, saying, there is more energy within each of us, and it's true. It is still true today. It is this vibration of energy in spirit. And then he went on to say, God is the always present, indwelling mind. That means, and it's talking about a field. To realize God, we must quiet our outer thoughts and enter into the stillness, peace, and harmony of spirit. We must align with God mind. And then every time we get upset, we connect, we know who we are, and then we say, what's the larger story? What is this idea? Because there's something more. How many of you were taught the golden rule? Anybody? A lot of people were taught the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Most of us grew up hearing it in some form, and I knew that it was a tool. It wasn't until I went to the Parliament of World Religions, I don't even know, it was in Toronto, so probably 4 or 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago in Toronto, they had floor-to-ceiling displays that talked about the golden rule. And they just didn't talk about the one that we grew up hearing. They talked about the realization that every tradition in the world has that same idea. Every one. And they were listed one by one by one. And you walk down this, 6,000, I think there were 6,000 people at that one. And you just walk down this hallway just filled with these ideas. Now that means, and they were from all different times, that means that the principle of treating others as one would like to be treated was already in the consciousness of humanity years before. Originally, they said Confucius, and Confucianism was the first one that brought it in. Actually, now they've realized that in the goddess Maat in Egypt, which they did not consider a religion because of the different gods, said the same thing. And it's there. And so they're realizing these ideas are ancient. They are also in our brains. We've been birthed into a time that's taught separateness. We're separate from our world. We're separate from this, which of course now they know is not true. We are all vibrations of energy. And we are always connected. We are actually one with each other. There's no chair over here, and there's no Lynn right here. There is a vibration that slows down so it looks like it's solid, but when you get to the smallest point, it's not. It's always connected. And so these ideas were there, and we're having to put away some of the things that we were taught in every area. systemic racism, all of the pieces. We're having to relearn history, we're having to relearn ideas, and we're having to relearn physics because we learned a very old style of physics. And when we do, we realize that these ideas were already there. Now, the way that they move forward in humanity and in all of us is when we live them. And how do we do that? You know, so in Christianity, Matthew 7:12, in everything, do to others as you would have them do to you. That's easy. In Buddhism, treat not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. Buddha. So one was Jesus, one was Buddha. Hinduism, this is the sum of duty. Do not do to others what would cause pain if done to you. Islam, not one of you truly believes until you wish for others what you would wish for yourself. I mean, and that was Muhammad. Judaism, what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. I mean, this was Rabbi Hillel, but it's like Taoism. Regard your neighbor's gain as your own gain and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. That was Lao Tzu. Baha'i, lay not on any soul a load that you would not wish to be laid upon you, and desire not for anyone the things you would not desire for yourself. Sikhism, and I'll stop there. But I am a stranger to no one, and no one is a stranger to me. I am a friend to all, was the way it was said there. And then it went on to about be that friend to all. Be that which you wish. These are ideas that are throughout humanity. So how do we allow a larger story, first of all, to say, that's not my belief, that's not this belief, it's not a Christian belief, it's not this belief, it's not this belief, it is throughout humanity. When those ideas come, they give an idea of if we'd like further evolution, those are the ones that we get to transcend separateness and include this idea that we're connected, that what I do to myself, I do to others. And this week is Earth Day. In the Native American tradition, it said we are only as alive as our earth is alive. And that which we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. And so we're learning that. What does that mean? It means reduce what we buy. If you haven't watched The Story of Stuff, I would encourage you to Google it, The Story of Stuff. Just write it down and Google it. Trust me, you will probably never buy another thing. But it shows you what happens to stuff, and it's really important because we're learning to reduce. We're learning to reuse. But it's all of us, and we're one with that. Part of what I've really learned in this work with the Aramaic Jesus is that Jesus knew himself as one with that infinite, one with the earth. And that we were taught words from Jesus not being that way. So open to a larger story. Get curious. I wonder what the real story is, because anytime we hit a wall in our life and we think we've lost someone, the larger story is that they came in as blessings, as a part of our journey. They will continue to bless us, though their physical body may not be here. And we are continuing to evolve and to learn and to heal and to touch the lives around us so that we all can be that part in that movement that we desire. We can be the love. What I know is every one of us desires love. Absolute love. There is nothing else that can take its place. There's nothing else that can fulfill us other than learning to be the love. And I have to laugh because when we have to get out of blame, shame, or guilt, which I thought, I'm doing that great. Let me tell you. You get into a room where I'm like, okay, kids, time for everyone to get out. Nope, we're happy here. I'm like, no, we're cleaning up now. Well, let's see. Boy, I'll tell you, my mind goes right back into old stuff. And so I get to go back to, what's the prayer? I'm one with this essence. What's the larger story? Oh, the larger story is I get to work on my relationship with those kids. I get to know the love that they are and figure out a way that I can be the love that I am. And sometimes I stand there doing nothing. And it's quite revealing. It's like, well, just breathe. Okay, let's figure out what's next. And gradually, I can find a larger story. So we're looking for that. We're realizing there's a larger story all over the planet, because this is not the only idea that every tradition had. I mean, I just keep going back to that. We are as much alive as we keep the earth alive, is actually what was said in native spirituality. We are as much alive as we keep the earth alive. And so The next evolution, Karen Armstrong says, and she is a religious historian who has done fabulous work with the Parliament of World Religions with this idea of the Golden Rule and some of the pieces. She said, to practice the Golden Rule, you dethrone yourself from the center of the world, put someone else there, then transcend yourself and your ego, and you find another level of enlightenment. You find joy. We can't live the Golden Rule without moving up and taking ourselves out of the center and realizing there's more. Because what I do to you, I do to me. And it becomes a place of we. And we know that that's the next evolutionary movement. So how does that happen? I just invite you to keep looking at it and keep saying, what does that mean to me as far as finding another way? So the first thing I do is pray. The second thing I would look at is be open to a larger story. And I'm talking about when you say I'm not enough. I'd invite you to stop right there and say the larger story is I'm a creation of the infinite intelligence of the universe. And that intelligence is love, it's wise. And so whatever I'm showing up right now, that's not the truth of who I am. The truth of who I am is life, and it's love, and it's God, and it's movement, and we are here to be a part. And then we got to learn something more. And today I want to just talk for a moment. We have Earth Day happening. I think all of us can begin saying, what would happen if I live my life, I'm one with this earth? It does not mean it's not about guilt or shame. It's about a different way of being on the planet. And I'm one with all humanity. So I don't walk through with blinders on because you're just a part of me as I am a part of you. We're all connected. And that means all of the people. And I want to talk a little bit, when we learn, what can I learn today? What can I open up to be curious and wonder? I want to talk about Ramadan. This is once in 33 years that Passover, that Easter and Ramadan happened. It ends, what is it, April 20th, I believe, 22nd, I believe it ends. But most of us didn't grow up hearing about it. Most of us didn't know what it was. And you know, Islam, the word comes from SLA, Salah, which means primarily peace, and secondary is a sense of surrender. So basically, in Islam, the calling is for life's total surrender to God. That is the essence. I learn a lot just thinking of that. Wow. I surrender to this higher intelligence, to this understanding that is within me and around me. But Ramadan, I was listening to some of this, and Omar, let's see, where is this? I want to go back to really what it says about Ramadan, because it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. And basically, he said, Ramadan is a spiritual boot camp. And I loved that. I'd never heard of that before. And this was Omar Suleiman. I've listened to about 4 or 5 hours of his work, and it's fascinating. He's an adjunct professor at one of the universities in the United States, and I cannot tell you which one right now. But he said, you know, it's fasting is from before sunrise to before sunset for an entire month. No food, water, intimacy. During that time, you restrict the intake to the body so you can focus on the intake to the soul. You can focus on your relationship to God. You can focus on finding the part of your soul that is so much more. And he said, instead of being focused on constant consumption, you are consuming words of remembrance, words of prayer. You are to be hyper-conscious of words that would spiritually invalidate your fast, which would be blame, shame, anger, gossip. You know, they list all these different ones, but it becomes a spiritual practice. And then he said, you don't speak words of evil, you don't slander someone, all these pieces. And he said, and you try to fast with your eyes and your mind, because often they go in a place you do not want them to go. And so you don't focus your eyes on that which is not worthy of praise, which means every time you see a person, they're worthy of praise, all that you see. And so he said, what he has realized and lived is that the result of not having food and water made him become conscious. Made him become conscious of the blessings of his life and how much he had that he took for granted. And it began to create compassion. What Karen Armstrong said with a golden rule is that it forces a being to get out of the center to add another, to go beyond their ego, and it creates the beginnings of compassion. It was interesting that he said Ramadan creates compassion, and he went through the ways and the ideas, and he said even though it's difficult and you feed your soul, and he went through, there's 5 prayers a day. When I was in Egypt, it was the most sacred time to hear from all of the different places, the prayers being sung out, and they reach all over the cities. Sometimes we could hear 3 or 4 at the same time, and people are around us in prayer and going to places where they can be, simply to focus on the presence and power within them. And so for many of us, we just didn't know that there is this idea. In fact, what the idea of Lent was of fasting at the same time. These are traditions that had them there. Now, I grew up, and I remember laughing, saying, you're not allowed to eat, and it was whatever. They weren't allowed to eat candy during Lent. And I had never heard of that, because what we were told was Lent is a time of fasting. Fasting from negative thoughts, fasting from thoughts about another that aren't whole. Do you know what that is like? That was what, at 5 years old, I remember, you have to fast from negative thoughts. And it was like, what's a negative thought? I wonder what I do here. And yet I remember listening. And so it's this idea. So when we learn a little bit more, when we say, wow, I wonder what this would do to each one of us if we followed a month of spiritual focus. And by the way, the last 10 days, the special prayers that go on besides the 5 prayers a day, last more than an hour, half at night. Some of them go into much of the night. And the whole idea is to move from the outer to the inner. And I thought, I have a lot to learn with that. So I just invite us to look at our lives this week, to know that what's next is a realization that we're one with Spirit, that there's a larger story for us in our lives. We came with a mighty work to do. We are the light. And that we are here to learn and to always learn more about humanity, and to say, wow, I'm one with all that is. Thank you. I went too long. Thank you. And I realize I went over. I apologize that. I was determined we're going to look at some of these ideas now. Thank you for sharing with us. We're going to receive our gifts. Part of this journey and of creating a new world is to begin holding a space for humanity where we find ways to exchange and to be a part of, and to create organizations and ideas that are based, I believe, in inclusion of every being, in the realization that every being has this presence and this power within them. So we have on our board, you can see ways that you can give. If you're new and you'd like to give, there's blue cards in the backs of your seats, and they have this same information on them of different ways you can give. If you'd like to do it on an ongoing basis, it's one of the ways that I believe you make an investment in this community and our ability to be in this space and to hold this consciousness, because I believe as we do and larger ones are created, we are able to create something larger for every being to have a place to anchor. So we're grateful for that. Our blessing is divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Let's affirm that together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
On a sleepy, endless ocean, when the world lay in a dream, there was rhythms in the splash and roll, but not a voice to sing. So the moon fell on the breakers, and the morning warmed the waves, till a single cell did jump and hum, as joy as though to say, this is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Then the day shone bright around her till the one turned into two, and the two into 10,000 things, and old things into new. And on some virgin beachhead, one lonesome critter crawled, and he looked about and shouted out his most astonished drawl. This is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. Should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Then all the sky was buzzing and the ground was carpet green, and the weary children of the woods went dancing in between. And the people sang rejoicing when the fields were glad with grain, this song of celebration from their homes on the plain. This is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. Should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Now there's smoke across the harbor, and there's factories on the shore, and the world is ill with greed and will, an enterprise of war. But I will lay my burdens in the cradle of your grace, and the shining beaches of your love, and the sea of your embrace. This is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. Should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. This is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. Should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I want to read you this. Rainer Maria Rilke said, "You must give birth to your images. They are the future waiting to be born. Fear not the strangeness you feel. The future must enter you long before it happens. Just wait for the birth, for the hour of new clarity." We truly are waiting to birth this idea. In the next week, we're actually starting, and Beth talked about it a little bit, we're starting a program. We're using the book Essential Spirituality, and it is the 7 practices. When you take all of the world religions, what were the 7 central practices that are present in them and that we can learn from? And so it's just another way to learn and to look at who we are and where we are in the world. We invite all of you to join us downstairs for Connection Hour. Some of what we're relearning to do in our brains, we're literally rebuilding the neural pathways of connection after years of staying back and having that feeling. And so just going downstairs is part of the path of moving ourselves back together, but learning a higher way to come. In just a moment, we're going to sing our youth in. I believe we get to do that by holding that light and that love and the presence that they are. We are a part of their world. And when we choose to hold the highest for them, the love that they are in expression, we realize we're all one. So just create an energy field of love into which they walk.
You are the star of the morning. You are heaven smiling at us. You're God's gift of tomorrow. Oh, how we love you. Oh, how we love you. You are the star of the morning. You are heaven smiling at us. You're God's gift of tomorrow. Oh, how we love you. Oh, how we love you.
My name's Eliana, and we listened to a story about a cricket that thought it was ugly because a toad told him that he was really ugly, and all the other creatures said that he was beautiful, and he said he wanted to be a butterfly, and then a butterfly came and said that it wished it was a cricket.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Look at these pictures. All right. Look at these. Thank you, thank you. I like your hat. All right, we get to stand. Are you coming? Are you coming? We are so happy to have you. We get to stand and to hold a space of peace on this planet.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be my moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Oh yes, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Barbara, did you guys go away this weekend or is it next weekend? All right, we surround you in light and love as you go to rally next weekend. About 2.5, 3 hours. Our high schoolers, we hold them. And for all of us, let's just join together in our uni prayer. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. Where the presence of God watches over us, I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. We are going to sing our youth out, and then we invite you to join us for Connection Hour.
The love of God is in my heart. Thank you for this day. The peace of God is in my life. Thank you for this day of your love.